This might be a crazy idea, is how this particular episode begins. For this story, we have two men, one cliff, and a whole army above them, with one crazy faith-filled idea. Maybe the Lord will act on our behalf. Israel was stuck. The Philistines ruled the heights, their outposts watched from the cliffs, and their weapons were far superior. Saul, the king of Israel at the time, sat under a pomegranate tree with 600 men just waiting. No one made a move or planned any advances. Fear had become a routine. But somewhere inside that camp, faith refused to sit still. His name was Jonathan, and he was Saul's son. And beside him, his armor bearer, whom we're never given a name for, just a heart we'll never forget. Welcome to the Lighter Shadows, stories from scripture that shine on the quiet, the overlooked, and the courageous. Here, we reveal how God moves in hidden places so that your faith can step into the light. Feel free to subscribe and walk with us where small acts become kingdom turns. Let's get back to the story, shall we? One day, Jonathan leaned in and said quietly, "Come, let's go over to the outpost of those uncircumcised men. Perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few." We find that in 1 Samuel 14 verse 6. There was no angel or prophet, no booming voice from heaven giving him an assurance, just a maybe. Perhaps the Lord will act. Many people want a guarantee before they move. Jonathan moved because he knew God's character. And now we hold our breath because everything depends on how the man next to him will respond. The armor bearer could have said, "This is too dangerous," and he would have been right. He could have said, "Your father did not approve of this." Again, perfectly valid excuse. He also could have said, "What if we die up there?" The more likely probability, considering all odds. Instead, he says the line that makes him a hero in today's story. "Do all that is in your heart. Go ahead, I am with you, heart and soul." In other words, if this is in your spirit, I'm not holding back. I'm not half in. I'm all the way with you. So, an agreement just turned a crazy idea into a spiritual weapon. The path to the Philistine outpost was not a gentle slope. It was a cliff. Jonathan climbed up on his hands and feet with his armor bearer right behind him. They had no cover or backup or any strategy, but trust. Jonathan had said, "We'll show ourselves to them, and if they say, 'Wait there,' we'll stay. But if they say, 'Come up to us,' we'll know the Lord has given them into our hands." This was not recklessness. This was a man reading the movements of God in the words of his enemies, and his friend was climbing with him, heart and soul. Now, as he climbed, the Philistines saw them and started laughing. "Look, the Hebrews are crawling out of the holes they were hiding in." Then they shouted down the very words that would eventually doom them. "Come up to us and we will teach you a lesson." Now you probably hear mockery in that, but in that mocking, Jonathan heard his sign. He turned to his armor bearer and said, "Come up after me, for the Lord has given them into the hands of Israel." The enemy thought it was inviting two men to their death. Heaven knew that these men had just invited God himself into the fight. Jonathan reached the top first, and he did not wait to catch his breath. He moved. Philistines fell before him. His armor bearer killed more behind him. In that first assault alone, the two of them struck down about 20 men in a small area. Then something remarkable happens. God makes their faith everybody's problem. Scripture says, "Then panic struck the whole army. The ground shook." It was a panic sent by God. Their little act of faith and action triggered an earthquake of confusion in the Philistine camp. What started as a "maybe the Lord will act" turned into "clearly the Lord has acted." We often preach about Jonathan's courage, and whenever he's talked about, we talk about him with David, who was his soulmate. But look at the armor bearer. He never got a prophecy. He didn't hear a voice. He didn't see a writing in the sky. He only heard his leader say, "Maybe the Lord will act. Nothing can hinder him." And his response was, "I'm with you, heart and soul." That in itself is faith too. Sometimes you're Jonathan, the one with the crazy idea to climb something impossible because you believe God is with you. Other times, you may be the armor bearer, the one God calls to throw your whole weight behind someone else's assignment. Both positions are very sacred. There are battles you will never win alone. There are victories you will only see when someone stands beside you and says, "Do all that is in your heart. I am with you, heart and soul." As scripture says, one will chase 1,000 and two will put 10,000 to flight. Heaven takes agreement seriously. Maybe you're standing at the bottom of a cliff right now. A project, a calling, a vision that feels too steep for you. Maybe God is nudging you like Jonathan or joining you to someone else like the armor bearer. Either way, this story is meant to whisper to your heart that you don't have to climb alone. And when God is in it, maybe the Lord will act is more powerful than 1,000 safe plans without Him. If this episode stirred something in you, drop this in the comments. I'm with you, Lord, heart and soul. And if you know a Jonathan in your life, someone who is daring to climb a cliff in obedience, send this to them and let them know you're not climbing alone. As always, this is Light to Shadows, where we shine God's light on the hidden moments in Scripture and bring them to light so that your faith can step into the light. Join us next Saturday for more stories like this. Until then, grace and peace be multiplied unto you. Bye for now.